growing up, it wasn't cool to be African. The first time I realized that, yo, it's not to be cool to be African, I was on set with Lorenz Tate, and he was like, yo, bro, I just did my 23andMe, and I'm like 60% Nigerian, bro, so I can eat that jollof rice and all that, that oyibo, that fufu. I'm like, I've never heard, anyone talk like that, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a very recent transition into acceptance.
Man, I used to be so embarrassed to be Nigerian, man. It's crazy. I used to lie all the time in school. They'll ask me where I'm from.
When I would tell Nigerians that I had found that I was 36% Nigerian, I noticed that a lot of them were kind of like, you're still not one of us. I don't know what you mean.
I had to ask myself, why were we dressed like this? The only reason I could think of was because for the past how many years we had been watching 106 and Park. This is the influence. Is that not T.I. on the right?
Man, I used to be so embarrassed to be Nigerian, man. It's crazy. I used to lie all the time in school. They'll ask me where I'm from. Remind you, I've lived in Nigeria for like 5 years, and I moved out here to America. I was born in Chicago, moved to Nigeria, and came back. When I came back, I had the strongest accent, and they'll ask me, where you from? I'll be like, I'm from Chicago. They were like, boy, no, you're not. You from Africa. I'm like, no, I'm from Chicago. I was born in Chicago. Like, no, you wasn't. Man, I used to lie all type. They'll ask me, your parents Nigerian? Nah, I'll be like, no, my parents, they are born in America. Yeah, they are from America. They was born in Chicago too. Boy, them kids knew I was lying too. Bro, they used to clown Nigerian kids, bro, like ridiculous. Like, they used to call us all type of jokes in the book, like non-stop, bro. Like, it got to a point I had to start fighting, bro. I got tired of hearing them jokes. I had to start fighting, but it's crazy because once we hit puberty, high school, college, now everybody love Nigerians. They want to be Nigerian. They want a Nigerian man. Like, this the same girls who used to like clown you in 5th, 6th grade. Now everybody want to be a part of the culture. It's crazy. I'm just saying this just to let y'all know, be proud of where you from, man. Whole time people probably just want to be a part of your culture. That's all it is. Or they just jealous of you. Don't hide your culture. Be proud. Wear it strong. Man, it took me a minute to learn. I used to be like ashamed just because of the way people used to talk. I ain't want to come to school eat Nigerian food. Now everybody want to try Nigerian food. Now everybody love it. I used to like hide Nigerian food from my friends and stuff like that just to fit in with my friends. Man, y'all be proud of who you are, man. Cause, bro, at the end of the day, that's where you from. You can't change where you from. They gonna love you or they gonna hate you.
To my video talking about how when I discovered my newfound Nigerian Igbo ancestry, and when I would tell Nigerians, they were like, when I would tell Nigerians that I had found that I was 36% Nigerian, I noticed that a lot of them were kind of like, you're still not one of us. I don't know what you mean. Now, this lady commented and said that a lot of Africans, not just Nigerians, feel a certain way towards African Americans because of the general reception that a lot of African Americans gave to Africans. And we can speak to that. There definitely was an era when African kids used to come to school, fucked up kids whose mamas didn't teach them no fucking manners, was calling them African booty scratchers and all this other crazy shit. I do think it just now became cool to rep your African roots because of Black Panther and Wakanda, all that shit. Now, me personally, I'd never hop on the bandwagon. I've always thought African cultures were beautiful. I've always been a fan of Sudanese culture. I've always been a fan of the history of Nubia. I've always been a fan of learning about Ashum and the other ancient kingdoms of Ethiopia. I've always been a fan of Mali, learning about Mansa Musa, etc., etc. I do think this is what we call, or the more woke black people, I guess, call diaspora wars. Wars in between groups that come from the same diaspora, It ain't just with African Americans and Africans. If you go to Florida, I'm just now learning this. There was a thing in between the Haitians that were coming to Florida and the African Americans. The African American kids used to beat up the Haitian kids. They had a day called Haitian Day where they would beat up the Haitian kids. Now, I feel like all them kids who did that should get their ass whooped.
So for those of you that are complaining about the living condition here in the US, why don't you go back home trade with somebody. I'm sure there are a lot of people back home in Nigeria that will love to trade position with you. Like, they will just want you to come back home and they will just come to US and take your position. If you don't like the living condition, if you're complaining about having 3 jobs and you feel like having 3 jobs is like hardship and you can't cope with that because you pay a lot of bills because you work 3 jobs, why some of them back home don't even have a single job to even pay some of their bills, and you're here complaining? Simple, just go home. Please do not pay attention to anybody. Do not listen to what they are telling you on these platforms. Don't pay attention to them. If you have a legal pathway to leave Nigeria, I advise you to do so. In as much as it's not as rosy as people think it is here, but it is still way better than living in Nigeria. So don't pay anybody any attention. If you have a way to japa from Nigeria, please japa from Nigeria.
Do Africans want to be like African-Americans? The answer is yes. I was going through my Google Photos recently and come and see the things I found. This is specimen 1. This is the first example I found. I had to ask myself, why were we dressed like this? The only reason I could think of was because for the past how many years we had been watching 106 and Park. This is the influence. Is that not T.I. on the right? Is that not T.I.? My boy, his name is Toby. That's why we dressed like fake chains. But we did not give a fuck. We wanted to be like you guys. Many of us in this picture had never even stepped out of Nigeria before. But why are we dressed like this? So if any African ever comes to you telling you nonsense, just tell them to shut up, because this is the truth. We wanted to be like you guys. You guys are cool as fuck, so don't be listening to anybody else. Thank you.
So in my last video, I got a lot of people asking, aren't Africans black people? Yes, black is global. You can go to any continent, any country, black people live there. And please understand, I'm not trying to cause divide and division. I'm really trying to just create a discourse and conversation about what the difference is. So as I said before, I am first generation Nigerian and I have been here for a very, very long time. So I understand the dynamics between African American, and black all at the same time. So when you're from outside of America, and since we're talking about Africa, let me make it even more specific for you guys. I don't claim Africa as a nationality or as my ethnic group. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. I claim Nigerian. And I think that's like the difference between Africans and African Americans in this country. Africans, when you know where you come from, like that's what you're claiming. Like, I don't know what's going on in Mali, Sudan, South Africa, Morocco. Like, I know what's going on in Nigeria. So I claim Nigeria. So like African Americans have to claim all of Africa. And we get it. It's not you guys' fault. It was the colonizer. He came and snatched you guys and brought you over here to America. So you guys don't know exactly where you come from. So the reason why I don't claim all of Africa is because I'm from Nigeria. Even more specifically, I'm from Maiduguri. Maiduguri is in Borno State, which is all the way up north in northern Nigeria. And more specific than that, like I'm Hausa. So yes, Hausa is a tribe, but even like more specific, I come from Margi people. So even though like I'm Hausa, I even know like my specific tribe. And so I get it. The average African American doesn't know where they come from. Like, I get it. You guys do the 23andMe and it tells you like bits and pieces from where you're from. But like, I know every inkling about my heritage. And so because of that, other Africans do the same. Like, they are proud from the country they come from. They're proud to be African, but they're not going to claim African. They're going to claim whatever country they come from, Niger, Ghana, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, wherever they are from. And the thing about blackness is, since I've been in this country, there are African Americans who don't want to be called African Americans. They want to be called black. And I've come to learn and respect that. However you want to choose to identify, we all have the right to do that. Before I am black, I am Nigerian. And that's what I claim first. But I do claim black. Like, y'all see this brown chocolate skin? Like, of course I'm black. And I would never deny my blackness. And Africans aren't denying their blackness. But the thing is that first generation especially, they know where they come from. So I feel like that's what the confusion and the mix-up is. We just know exactly where we came from, whereas you guys, it's broad. So I hope that makes some sense. Okay, bye.
Growing up, it wasn't cool to be African. You were the butt of every joke, you know. So they were made to be fun of, like, yo, look at the African boy over there. It's only until 2017 or 16 that it became cool to be African because of Black Panther, because of Afro beats, and now I want to know my genealogy. And the first time I realized that, yo, it's not to be cool to be African, I was on set with Lorenz Tate, and he was like, yo, bro, I just did my 23andMe, and I'm like 60% Nigerian, bro. So I can eat that jollof rice and all that, you know, that oyibo, that fufu. I'm like, I've never heard, you know, anyone talk like that. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a very recent transition into acceptance.
What do you consider yourself today? Are you American? Are you African? Are you African American? What are you?
I'm an African raised in America. You know, clearly.
So you're not American?
I wish I was, but my mind is not African. I mean, American. It's clearly African.
But you have the accent. You have,
I went to school in America. All my whole earlier childhood, I was raised in Africa. Then I came to America. Every summer, we would go back to Africa for a vacation. And then when I graduated high school, it was a choice whether we wanted to go to Africa or stay in the U.S. And just the opportunities in the U.S. were so much greater than Africa.
Well, you're certainly the perfect example of the American dream coming true. And, you know, what would be your advice to a young African who's immigrating to the United States today?
Ultimately, you can't change who you are. And I think the biggest obstacle is that when people come to the U.S., they kind of alienate their original and they conform to what's there. And when you do that, first of all, you will never get accepted.
But isn't that the best way to integrate?
Absolutely not, because first of all, you can't, it's no way you can move forward and you're not you.